Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the Perfectly Imperfect Spiritual Podcast. I am Marta, Marta the medium, psychic medium, angel card reader, spiritual teacher, and your host through the sacred and soul-led journey. This is episode 47, and I truly cannot wait for you to receive today's conversation. And if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs a little more light, healing, and magic in their life. Every share helps the spiritual ripple grow stronger. Today's guest is someone whose work has touched the hearts and the nervous systems of millions around the world, including mine. Brad Yates is known internationally for his creative and often humorous use of emotional freedom techniques, EFT. Brad is the author of the best selling children's book, The Wizard's Wish, the co-author of the bestseller Freedom at Your Fingertips, and a featured expert in the film The Tapping Solution. He has also been a presenter at a number of events, including Jack Canfield's Breakthrough to Success, has done teleseminars with the Secret Stars, Bob Doyle, and Dr. Joe Vitale, and has been heard internationally on a number of internet radio talk shows. Brad also has over 1,200 videos on YouTube that have been viewed over 50 million times, and more information is available at www.tapwithbrad.com. Welcome, Brad, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Marta. I'm happy to be here with you.
I am very excited, and we'll see where this conversation is going to take us. This is the fun part.
Yep. That's what I love is just letting the universe decide where we go and what folks are meant to hear today.
Absolutely. I'm tapping to so much joy and happiness, but I would love to start. Well, there's never one entry point, but yeah, I have to ask this question because, well, before we get into all the healing magic of tapping, if you can share one of your stories, because I know you've had quite an unconventional path. So, what led you to EFT, and yes, what is it that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah. How does a grown man find himself tapping on his face for a living?
Mm.
So I actually started out as an actor. I had traveled the world doing theater and went to Hollywood to be a movie star, as one does. And when I got there, I met a woman, fell in love, and got married. And
Mhm.
when our first child was on the way, I thought, I might need a backup career.
Mm.
So I saw an ad for hypnotherapy school, and I thought, I've always been fascinated by the power of the mind. That would be an interesting secondary career. So I started building a small practice alongside pursuing my acting career. And about 2.5 years later, when our second child was on the way, I realized that as much as I loved acting, doing personal development work was my calling. It's like this
Mm.
this is what I'm meant to be doing. We left Los Angeles, and through some other hypnotherapists, I heard about this energy psychology conference going on in Las Vegas. And this guy was teaching a process where you tapped on your face. And I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. I'll try that out.
Mhm.
And fell in love with the technique, and little by little started introducing it into my hypnotherapy practice, until little by little it became my main tool for working with folks to help them clear the blocks to feeling better, doing better, and living better.
I love it. And do you remember that specific moment when you had that realization that this was definitely your calling? When you once you've started incorporating that EFT into your hypnotherapy and you started helping others, when was that awareness? Oh, I'm really helping. I'm really making a difference. This is something that I really want to do more of.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It was, I mean, there was a moment in my acting career where there were some opportunities that looked like they were promising,
Mhm.
and it was kind of like a fork in the road where it's like, if it goes this way, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And when it didn't go that way, that's when I was able to sit there and recognize, yes, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And while I don't think that I had fully allowed myself to see that while I was still telling myself I'm an actor, I'm supposed to make it as an actor.
Mhm.
There's a lot of pressure on folks when I made the move and left Hollywood. I had friends who are actors are like, "Oh, so you're quitting." There's this thing of, you're giving up. It's like, no, I
Mhm.
recognize there's something that I love even better, but I didn't realize it until I had gotten to that moment where it's like, okay, let me really take a hard look at this. And actually, I do enjoy this work even more.
Mm.
And there is something that connects. And I loved doing hypnotherapy, and I still do hypnosis as part of my sessions. But after I learned the tapping and incorporated that in, I found that it was so useful for people to be able to do it on themselves much more easily than teaching people how to do self hypnosis.
Mhm.
That it became a more profound tool, and then being able to do it on YouTube. It was pretty early on. I just started putting things on the internet when YouTube came along, and I thought,
Mhm.
hey, wouldn't it be cool if there's a tapping video that people could use to start their day? And I'll
Mhm.
call it Tap of the Morning.
Mhm.
And that was all I intended to do, is like the one video. It's like, okay, great, I've got a video on YouTube. EFT is out there for the world. And 6 months later, I thought, I should probably have a video for people to end their day. And I'll call it
Mhm.
Tap of the Evening, and then I'm done. And
Mhm.
then a few months later, I had another idea, and then another idea, and now there's like 1,500 that I've made now. So I didn't quit
Mhm.
acting. I've just simply switched so that I've now written, directed, produced, and starred in 1,500 of my own short films.
Mhm. I love it. And when you were coming up creatively, with the ideas for your new videos, were you thinking first how you can help yourself, or what were the things that perhaps you or your immediate, maybe family members or friends struggled with, and how to support them? I'm just curious about that process.
Yeah, the so that first one was just simply a matter of, okay, what might stop somebody from having a great day, and just sort of and when I come up with an idea for a video, sometimes I'll have a number of thoughts about it. Sometimes it'll just be one word, like
Mhm.
resistance or sadness or something like that, and I'll have that written down. And when I go to shoot it, I'll just let it flow through me. It downloads, and so I don't know what's going to come out. And then the ideas, someone once said, "Wow, where do you get your ideas for videos?" And I said, by being human.
Mhm.
And some of them are things, it's like, hey, this is something that I struggle with, or it'll be something that someone else has told me that they struggle with, and maybe an issue that a client brings up, and I think, oh, that would be a good thing for the general public. I get ideas from listening to books.
Mhm.
When I go for long walks, I'll listen to a book on tape, and somebody might bring up a concept, and I'll think, oh, that would be a great subject for a
Mhm.
tapping video. So I'll tell my I'll make a note to myself to make a video. So while I have uh, over 1,500 videos already, I probably have at least that many ideas written down that I have not yet gotten to, just because there's always a new thing. And I'll just be looking at social media and see someone go, oh, this is something people struggle with.
Mhm.
So it might be myself, somebody I know, or just an idea that pops into my head of, this is what stops people from the joy and the freedom and the success and the health and well-being that they crave. And let's tap through that to clear the blocks.
Mhm. And for anyone who's watching it or listening who is completely new to tapping, what's tapping?
What the heck are they talking about? Tap dancing? You just tap away your trouble. Uh, so tapping, or EFT, emotional freedom techniques, is a process of tapping with our fingertips on key points around the face and torso.
Mhm.
And I know that if you are new to this, you might think, That's crazy. Why on earth would you do something as silly as that? So there's a very good reason for it. Originally, it was based on acupuncture. So for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said there's a flow of energy through the body that run through these pathways. And when this energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well-being physically and emotionally. When this energy gets stuck or blocked in some way, we don't feel so good and we don't think
Mhm.
as clearly. We don't make the best choices. And that has all kinds of unfortunate consequences for us, personally and professionally. So, in traditional Chinese medicine, the doctor would stick needles in these key points to stimulate that healthy flow of energy. And a psychologist named Dr. Roger Callahan found that by tapping on these points, he could help clear out those disruptions and resolve a lot of emotional issues that cause stress and also lead to a lot of physical discomfort as well. So he created a process called at first the Callahan technique and then thought field therapy. And then one of his first students was a gentleman named Gary Craig who refined it, simplified the process, and called it emotional freedom techniques.
Mhm. I love it. And what are the, again, most common or maybe not less? Let's do it other way around. What are like the least frequent things that people have asked you maybe to tap on?
Oh, even some of the most remote things, I've gotten numerous comment. Like someone will say, "Hey, can you tap on this particular disease?" And it'll be a very specific disease. But even when that happens, I may get a few comments from that. And I will often tell those folks I have a number of videos on physical well-being
Mhm.
that you can just think about whatever particular ailment you might have, and I wouldn't necessarily do it any differently for that specific thing because the main thing that the tapping helps with, and we have a growing body of scientific research showing the
Mhm.
effectiveness. So it's not just, oh, we think that we tap on our face and that it feels better. We have chemical studies showing that cortisol, one of the main stress hormones, is dramatically lowered when we tap. There are fMRI studies showing the brain scans and showing brain activity and how that normalizes, and parts of the brain that light up under stress normalize. So we do have evidence from research showing that it's effective. And the main thing that it helps with is stress. But when you consider that most, if not all, of the things that bother us, both physically and emotionally, are either caused by or worsened by stress, then you can see that a simple stress relief technique can be so beneficial in so many things. So that's why Gary Craig came up with a catchphrase for EFT: try it on everything.
Mhm.
People would say, will it work for this? Will it work for this health issue? Will it work for my financial well-being? Will it work for my relationships? Try it on everything and look for where there might be stress. You know, the extent to which we don't have what we say we want tends to be the extent to which we are resisting it.
Mhm.
So we were talking earlier before you hit record about joy and health and love and all these positive things.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, Likewise, money, relationships, these things we say, boy, I wish I had this in my life. And people put it on their vision board and they say, oh, I'm getting all excited and I'm trying
Mhm.
to manifest it. But that's 5 to 10% of the conscious mind getting excited. The other 90 to 95% is saying, this isn't safe, or I don't deserve this, or all kinds of limiting beliefs. There's resistance there. So
Mhm.
while the conscious mind is getting excited, the majority of our mind, subconscious mind, is vibrating in an energy which is saying, let's make sure that never happens.
Mhm.
And that shows up as stress in our body. So we feel a fear of what are the negative consequences that could happen if I had more money, if
Mhm.
I had better health, if I had less weight, if I, whatever it might be. There are parts of the mind because of old programming, either
Mhm.
things that we've been told, like, oh, don't get too big for your britches, don't stand out, money is the root of all evil, people are just going to break your heart, all kinds of things. So that when we look at that vision that we say we want, we have all these
Mm-hmm.
old beliefs about why that would be painful, dangerous, or why we don't deserve it, we're not worthy of it. So that's the energy we're vibrating at. And that's all shows up as stress in our body. So as we tap, we calm down that stress. We start to realize, oh, you know what? It would be okay for me to have this. I could manage
Mm-hmm.
that. There are other people who manage to have that much money or be in that great a shape or have healthy relationships. Why not me? And we start to
Mm-hmm.
clear out those reasons that come up about why not me. And as we feel better about the goals,
Mm-hmm.
our mind allows us to come up with ideas about how to get it, and we create the opening and the motivation to take the actions to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. I love it because even, well, I've spoken with many people who did some tapping, and of course, they would say about being able to overcome the physical elements. But then, if we perceive what you've been tapping as a way, um, as a tool for manifesting,
Yeah.
then we're even adding that other layer to it. And I love it. So, is it the more resistance we've got, the more tapping is going to support us? Mm.
Yeah, and I was just talking to someone the other day about using tapping for spiritual connection, because that's
Mhm.
something that I've worked with some people on. Is I want to feel greater connection to God,
Mhm.
universe, source, however, different
Mhm.
people use different words. I was telling folks I was listening to a sermon the other day, and the priest was talking about a bumper sticker that said, "Far from God, who moved?" And the question is, yeah, if I'm not feeling close to God or source,
Mhm.
who moved?
Mhm.
It's not source, it's not the universe. It's
Mhm.
me. And not blaming ourselves for that. With all of the things that all the ways that we resist our goals, whether it's having more money or being in better health or having a closer connection to God, whatever it is, rather than beating ourselves up, it's a matter of getting curious and saying, what's going on there? Because
Mhm.
self sabotage is simply misguided self love. There
Mm.
is something inside of us saying it doesn't feel safe to have more money. It doesn't feel safe to feel more connected to source, which, from a logical standpoint, our 5 to 10% of our conscious mind saying that doesn't make any sense. Of course, it would be good to feel connected to God, but or source, because some people have a lot of baggage around the word God, and so
Mhm.
they would say, "Oh, yes, I don't want to feel connected to that." Um, so that may be a block, but it's whatever. There's something inside of us that is protecting us. So rather than
Mm.
beating ourselves up for forgetting to go to that interview for that really great job and missing that
Mhm.
opportunity, or beating ourselves up for breaking our diet by eating a whole box of cookies, or whatever it might be, allowing ourselves to say, okay, tap to relax and go, okay,
Mhm.
how do I think I'm protecting myself? What Where is that resistance? Why am I resisting this? What am I afraid of? And sometimes the answers will come, and sometimes
Mhm.
we just release it without even knowing. We can just feel more relaxed, so that when we think about that goal, it actually feels a whole lot better.
Mm. I love it. So, do you think that we are then relaxing our nervous system and we're just feeling safe, we're not in a fight flight mode, and we're able somehow, like for me, because I believe in intuition and connection to the source, I feel like, are we then like allowing ourselves to get all the answers from whether intuition or source?
Yeah, well, and I think it's the same thing. Intuition is just
Yes, yeah,
us.
whatever terminology you
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's just us being open to source, because
Mhm.
that comes through every creative endeavor. All the great books that have written, all the great songs that have been written, whatever it might be, every brilliant play that an athlete has made. It's us allowing that source energy to come through us in some way. And through practice, we allow ourselves to get better at it. That's what I love about my job, is because while I'm tapping, I'm opening myself up. Say, okay, let me get out of my way and let this intuition come through me. And it's funny how it happens sometimes. I love using analogies to make a point. And there have been times, numerous times, where I'm working with a client and I'll come up with an analogy I've never thought of before. It's like, it's kind of like this. And after we finish the tapping round, they'll say, yeah, that's something that actually happened to me. So there's a connection that happens at at this energetic level, that as we tap, we get out of the way of this. And I have a video called "Getting Out of the Way of Miracles." Miracles are happening, but we block them. We get in the way because there's a part of us that's afraid of that. We're afraid of what would happen if I allowed miracles to happen more often in my life.
Yeah, and sometimes what's unknown might be scary.
The unknown is very scary. We like what's familiar, even if it's crap. If our lives are crap, there's a part of us that says, yeah, but it's my crap. I know where it goes. I dealt with it yesterday, so I know I can deal with it today. I have my goals. I have my vision up on my vision board, all these fabulous things, but I don't know what that feels like. And so part of me says that's dangerous. What is unknown feels more dangerous to me than what is known, even if it's terrible, even if it's painful. Yeah, but it's familiar. That's why people often get into relationships with the same kind of unfortunate partners. It's like, oh, I should have seen the red flags. Well, you did see the red flags. And part of you said, I'm familiar with that. I know how to handle that.
Yeah, I love it. And I can relate to that because I used to be in an abusive relationship. And at that conscious level, of course, I would have never chosen to repeat any patterns, anything that was familiar from my caregivers. But I have to say, well, this is a little bit of a personal story because tapping and your videos, they really helped me. Well, after I left an abusive relationship, that was one thing when I was going through so much trauma and I really wanted to clear it. And it wasn't that uh, regular therapy that helped me because I felt like I was relieving things. It was tapping that allowed me to really feel things in my body and release. But what really stayed with me, and I keep sharing that story with so many people, is that during lockdown, I had a suspected heart attack as one of the side effects of things that I did during that time. And I was rushed by an ambulance to a hospital, and I was scared that I was going to die. I was a single parent, and I was just really spiraling down. I cannot leave my children behind. There's no one responsible who can really look after them. And there's another story because I was really saved and healed by archangels. That's a different story. But I had to drive, and I would be going through serious panic attacks while driving, and I had to drive from a couple of days after that accident. And it was very scary because I would struggle to breathe, and my kids didn't know what was going on. And one thing is that we came up with a game because I was in that fight and flight mode, and my kids knew that they had to give me letters and categories, and I would be basically naming fruit, vegetables, like other things, just to get me back home. But then I knew I needed to do something else, and I would be tapping, even though I'm feeling the stress. Well, I would say that I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And my son would be like, "How long?" Like I would be saying it out loud, like, "Stop it, stop it." So I would be driving as safely as it is possible, and when stuck in traffic, with one hand, and then like tapping, tapping, tapping. And then I worked with someone else who helped me to reprogram my unconscious mind, and I'm able to drive now.
Excellent.
Without any symptoms or any. I'm not scared of it. So tapping really helped me. Well, I don't recommend anyone who's watching it or listening to tap while driving, but this was something that my mind remembered that it helped me with other things. And then I intuitively started tapping and telling myself that even though it's scary, that I was somehow like words flew through me. I was able to anchor it myself, and then it worked.
Excellent. Excellent.
So I wanted to
That's
share that.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about tapping is that we can certainly use the wording to help us focus on what's going on. But when we feel that distress, that discomfort, the fear in our bodies, we can just tap, and we can tap through all the points, or we can just tap one point without saying
Mm,
anything. And it is sending calming signals to the brain such that we start to, so as you said, the fight or flight, that's the sympathetic nervous system where the amygdala in the brain perceives threat and says, okay, we need to either run away or fight harder. And
mhm,
and we're pumping cortisol through the body, which is harmful to our digestive system and our immune system and all that. It's only meant to happen for a very short burst of time.
mhm,
But we live in such stressful times that there's always something bothering us. Our phone is constantly telling us, here's something else to be worried about.
mhm,
So we're always having at least, low levels of stress. So without even thinking about it, we can just be tapping through points and be calming that stress down. And what also happens is when we're stressed, when we go into fight or flight, the prefrontal cortex, our most rational mind, the best thinking part of our brain, goes offline, and we go
mm,
into habitual behavior. And if we have some bad habits from the past, we're in trouble.
mhm,
That's when we reach for the box of cookies or the cigarettes or the bottle or whatever it might be. And again, not beating ourselves up, because even with choosing that partner, that you can say,
mhm,
wow, how did I choose that?
mhm,
Because something inside said, this is familiar, this feels
mhm,
safe. It's a misguided act of self-love. I'm putting
mhm,
myself in a position of something that feels familiar. It feels safe, even though
mhm,
logically not safe,
mhm,
but emotionally there's something, whatever our mind perceives what's familiar as safe, even if it's not
mhm,
logically safe. So being
mhm,
compassionate with that part, and then just, whether we have the words or just silently
mhm,
tapping to calm that down. And this is why tapping goes so well with therapy. And there are a lot of therapists who are now incorporating tapping in, because
mm,
there is that resistance to change.
mhm,
This upset, this anger, this fear, this sadness is keeping me safe. If I don't feel that, I
mhm,
won't make good choices. And I'm not even sure what it is might be about. And as we tap, we calm that down,
mm.
and it creates a greater opening to go where we might need to go in order to get maximum benefit from the therapy.
Mm, I love it. And I really hope, I know it's going to help so many people who went through various trauma, who might not even maybe heard about tapping, but like tap. I love that idea that you do not have to, first of all, of course, be compassionate towards yourself, but even when you're in that extreme fight and flight and you will not remember any words, just tap, just
Yep.
tap.
Yep. You don't
It's
have to
like
do
just
anything.
breathe.
Yeah,
So
exactly. It's just
powerful.
allowing the body to relax without having to come up with anything specific. And it's
Hmm.
just going, okay, there is a physical thing. It's like if you're choking on something, doing the Heimlich maneuver to dislodge what you're choking on. This is just a quick physical thing you can do to dislodge the stress in the body. And
Hmm.
sometimes it happens quickly, and sometimes not as quickly. I like to say sometimes it's like a painkiller, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's like a vitamin. So the
Mm.
painkiller, we take it for a headache, and usually after a few minutes, hopefully, the pain starts to dissolve. And so we notice the difference in a relatively short amount of time. With a vitamin, we know from the research that it's beneficial over time, but nobody takes a vitamin and instantly says, "Oh, I feel so much better now."
Mhm.
It just
Mhm.
doesn't have that kind of effect, even though at a very subtle level it has benefits. So there are times with tapping where we get instant relief. We can be so upset and be tapping for a few minutes and just go, "Oh, okay, okay." and just feel that relief. And there are other times where we might be tapping and might be telling ourselves it's not working, it's not doing anything. But that's one of the benefits of the scientific research we have now, is we can see it is. It's the effect might be modest, but it is measurable. So any
Mm-hmm.
tapping that we're doing, that's why I recommend it on a daily basis. To me, it's energy
Mm.
hygiene.
This is the question that just popped into my mind. Would you recommend adding it as when we are like really calm, like not when we are at the extreme, which is also very useful to know that we can do it,
Yeah.
but to do it on daily basis.
Yeah. So
Mm.
it's like, again, it's like physical hygiene, like brushing your teeth. We Most of us brush our teeth morning and night, whether we need it or not. We don't get up in the morning, look at our teeth, and go, "Oh, there's nothing green sticking out of my teeth. I don't need to brush my teeth." So we just do it ahead of time before it gets problematic. But
Mm-hmm.
then, if we are eating Oreo cookies and we're about to go to an appointment, an interview, we're not going to look at our mouth and see all the chocolate in our teeth and say, "Well, I already brushed my teeth this morning, so I'm not going to brush them." It's like, no, you're going to brush your teeth again. So do it as a routine and as needed. And I start each day with some tapping. So when people first learn EFT, they'll hear where you start off with the problem. So maybe it's, I'm really nervous about this test that I have tomorrow, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm really angry at my neighbor Bob. So I would rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. How upset am I? And then
Mm-hmm.
I would tap, even though I'm really angry, or even though I'm so nervous, I choose to love and accept myself. So the basic version of EFT starts with some negative event or feeling. And so if I say I start my day with tapping, people are like, "What, you wake up in a bad mood? Even though I woke up on the wrong side of the bed again?" It's like, no, because you can tap without having that thought. So I will often say affirmations, or there are some prayers that I'll say while tapping,
Mm-hmm.
or I might just tap silently, or I might just say, sometimes I might say, even though I might have some resistance, because again, the extent to which we don't have what we say we want tends to be the extent to which we're resisting it. So I'll start the morning and go, okay, I want to have a great day today. If there's any part of me that might be afraid of doing that, even though that doesn't sound logical, if there's any resistance that I might have to, getting up, like I exercise in the morning. So in case there's a part of me that might want to talk me out of that and go, yeah, let's just take it easy this morning or something like that. I just want to clear any resistance that might be.
Mm-hmm. Mm, I love it. I've got a couple of questions that are popping into my mind, which is something common because I'm fully engaged in a conversation with you. But I know before we started recording, you suggested or asked whether we could do, or you could do a little bit of tapping with the viewers and listeners. So I'm just thinking that maybe now it would be the good time to do it,
I
if it's
would
okay
love
with you.
to. I would love
And
to.
and I'll leave it up to you to decide on what you feel like we should tap on, and I will remove myself from the stage. And when you're ready, well, I'm not going anywhere, but you'll be able to call me back. I'll be tapping as well, but I want people to be fully concentrated on what you have to say and what you're going to be, visually also sharing. Okay?
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay.
So before we go into, and I'm going to do tapping the intuitive way that I do, but
Mhm.
first, for anyone who's new to this, I just want to show you the very basics. So again,
So I'll remove myself. Just wait a second, please.
mhm. So as I mentioned, we start off in general by looking at what might be bothering us. This anger at the neighbor, this fear about this test that we have the next day. We rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. So, oh, I'm really nervous about this test. It's an 8. And I'd look for where I feel it in my body. So it may be, I just feel this tension in my shoulders, or a tightness in my chest or my stomach. And then we would start off by taking the fingertips of your index and middle finger and gently tap on the side of your opposite hand and say, even though I have this issue, and you would state whatever the issue is. So even though I have this anger at my neighbor, or even though I'm nervous about this test, I choose to love and accept myself. So what we're doing is stating love and acceptance for ourselves, even though we have this problem. And the reason we do that is because we have so much programming about not allowing ourselves to acknowledge that we're not feeling great about something. When someone asks you how you're doing, most of us resort to that 4-letter F word. Fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Even though it's obvious that we're not. So basically what we're saying is, even though I'm not fine, I still choose to love and accept myself. We'll say that 3 times and just sort of creates an opening for us to do this work. And then we'll go through these points. So right here at the beginning of your eyebrow on either side, and we tap each point usually around 5 to 10 times. You don't have to keep count. It's not an exact science. And repeat the whatever it is that's going on. So this nervousness about this test. Follow the eyebrow out to the side of your eye, right at the corner of your eye socket. This nervousness about this test. And right under the middle of your eye, just above your cheek, this nervousness about this test. Right under your nose, just above your upper lip, this nervousness about this test. Right below your lower lip, just above your chin, this nervousness. And right here, where your collarbones just about come together, there's a little bit of a U shape at the base of your throat. And there's a point on either side, and you can actually just make a fist and tap both collarbone points. This nervousness. Next point is about 4 inches below your armpit, right about bra strap level, and I'm sure even the guys can figure out where that is. You can tap with all your fingers there. This nervousness. And finally, the top of your head. So using all of your fingertips, tap around the crown of your head. This nervousness. You take a deep breath. And then you would check again, and on a scale of 0 to 10, how much of that nervousness is there? Feeling where it was, if you had that tightness in your chest or in your shoulders. And you might go from an 8 to a 0 like that. It sometimes happens. It's usually not that quick, but it often does happen that way. It may go from an 8 to a 4. It may go from an 8 to a 7.75. But in terms of allowing ourselves to feel better and think more clearly, even a very minor shift is beneficial. And also when we're tapping, it's often like peeling the layers of the onion. So you might be tapping along, this nervousness about this test, this nervousness about the test. Oh, this reminds me of that book report in the 3rd grade that I did a bad job on, and I got grounded for getting a bad grade. And so you realize, I'm nervous about this test tomorrow because of this upsetting event that happened in the 3rd grade. And then you might even change the wording, even though I got that bad grade in the 3rd grade, even though I got grounded, whatever it might be, and continue peeling the layers of the onion. So that's the very basic version of EFT, coming up with the issue. Even though I have this issue, I choose to love and accept myself. This issue, this issue, this issue. And then take a deep breath and check again. And then you can go back and say, even though I still have some of this nervousness, I still have some of this anger, whatever it might be. And you can tap saying, this remaining nervousness, and keep peeling those layers away until you feel better. So that's the very basic version of EFT. You know how to do it now. Now we're going to get a little more playful with it. So just based on what we were just talking about in terms of starting the day with resistance, what I'd like you to do is close your eyes, take a deep breath in and hold it, and let it go. And now, just breathing comfortably, go ahead and feel your feet on the floor or whatever part of you is connected to something. Allow yourself to feel that connection. Allow yourself to feel centered and grounded. Allowing yourself to be right here, right now, as present as possible, so as to receive maximum benefit from this process as possible. And allowing yourself, just follow your breath through your body and notice how you're doing right now. Maybe rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 would be happy, joyful, healthy, successful, whatever that might mean, whether it's personal success or professional success, just success in reaching personal goals. And you may just define success as feeling happy. Whatever that might look like at a 10, imagine life at a 10, feeling yourself at a 10, feeling that magnificent, awesome feeling. And if that's what a 10 is like, allow yourself to be aware of where you might be right now. And please don't judge yourself harshly if the number is lower than you'd like it to be. Just allow yourself to get curious. Being open to the possibility that some part of you might be resisting feeling yourself at a 10. Some part of you might be resisting feeling more joy, more love, more gratitude. Just noticing what might be there, what shows up in your body. You might think about a particular area of your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, your career, where you might not be where you want to be. And allow yourself again to be open to the possibility that there's some resistance there. Some part of you is not allowing you to reach your goals. Not in a blaming way, not in a shaming way, just allowing yourself to not be judgmental, but rather to be curious about what might come up as to why you couldn't or shouldn't be at a 10. Allow yourself to keep that in mind. Notice where it shows up in your body. And take a deep breath, open your eyes. Just tap where I tap and repeat back what I say. Even though I might have some resistance, I choose to love and accept myself. Even though I might have some resistance, I choose to love and honor myself. Even though I might have some resistance to reaching certain goals or to feeling a certain level of joy, and part of me resists that idea. Why on earth would I resist that? And even though I might have some resistance, I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And maybe anyone else who might contribute to this resistance. Because I choose to feel that free. All this possible resistance, all this possible resistance. There are some things I'd like to have in my life. Some things that I might like to feel. But I'm not there yet. And I may have a lot of different ideas about why I can't feel better or why I can't take certain actions or get certain results. I choose to be open to the possibility that what gets in my way is resistance. And I hate that idea. I want all these really great things. I want to be healthier. I really want to have more money. I really want to feel more joy in my life. Why on earth would I resist that? And that's the $1,000,000 question. And I choose to get curious. What programming did I get? What experiences have I had that might tell me this wouldn't be okay for me to have? What negative things have I heard about people who have more money or people who experience more joy? Because if they feel that much joy, they're setting themselves up for a fall. And if I stay close to the ground, I don't have that far to fall. So I resist being higher. And I choose to love and appreciate those parts of me that have been resisting things being better, believing that that's necessary to protect me. Limiting my joy and my health and my wealth has been an act of self-love based on old misunderstandings. And now I choose to clear up that confusion. Because health, wealth, and happiness are my birthright. So I choose to allow those, clearing away the resistance. All these reasons why I should resist that. All this fear of feeling better. I can handle it. And it's possible for me. I can cultivate greater joy. And all kinds of other good things. So I'm allowing things to get better and better in body, mind, and spirit. And take a deep breath. Close your eyes, go inside, and just notice what that feels like inside. And again, imagining what life at a 10 looks like. And hopefully that feels even better. And you may even have some ideas about things that might be in the way. You might have some ideas that you hadn't thought of before about how to make your life better and better because it now feels safer and more possible. And since everything is energy and we're all connected, as you clear out what doesn't feel like peace and love and joy, you're helping the world release that stuff as well, so that you're cultivating greater peace and joy in the world. So thank you for doing that. And you can take a deep breath and open your eyes. And it's safe to come back, Marta.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I was off camera, but I was fully participating, and it was beautiful experience. And I could feel like so much more expansion inside of my chest, and
Excellent.
even clairvoyantly, I could see like the color changing, and then I could really feel like so much tapped in, and even so much more excited. So I really appreciate you doing it for everyone here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Mm.
I appreciate
Well,
everyone doing it.
yeah. Well, I've got three things that have been popping into my mind, and I try to not, well, I'll try to not forget about them, but I'm paying attention, of course, here. Pictures, and you talk about is it Michelangelo process? Would you be able now to mention about?
Oh, thank you for asking. Because I love telling this. So, folks can see I've got a picture of Michelangelo's David behind me, and I have Davids everywhere. Everywhere you look in my office, there's Davids. And I love this because Michelangelo said the statues were already there, perfect inside the marble. And all he had to do was chip away what didn't belong to reveal the masterpiece that was already inside. And to me, that's a perfect metaphor for what we're doing with tapping. Our happiest, healthiest versions of ourselves, our most successful versions of ourselves, is already there as potential inside. But it's covered up and hidden by all this excess marble that's fear and doubt and feelings of unworthiness and guilt and shame and stuff like that. So, with the tapping, we are chipping away what doesn't belong to reveal that masterpiece that's inside and then sharing that gift with the world. Please and thank you.
Thank you. And then talking about gifts, well, I don't consider what I do, well, I've mentioned I'm a psychic medium as a gift, but certain ability. But I have my courses and I've been teaching various students who struggle with fear and they really resist to tap into their power. And so I'd like you to be able maybe to talk a little bit how tapping can help those people to be fully in that energy of being in service and fully embrace their gifts in order to then, well, I don't want to sound cliche, spread love and light, but essentially it is about that
I'm
as well.
totally okay with that cliche
And
because
we
that's
create
what
healing and world becomes a better place.
absolutely. And we all have gifts and talents to share. And no one shows up without a gift. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I put free videos on YouTube because I want people sharing their gifts. I Sometimes I've used the job title gift unwrapper. I'm a gift unwrapper.
Mm,
That's what
love it.
Michelangelo did. When he took a block of marble, he unwrapped the gift inside. That's what I'm trying to do with folks and to share their gifts and talents. But there is that fear and being powerful. It was Marianne Williamson who said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is
Mm-hmm,
that we're powerful beyond measure. It
mm-hmm,
scares the bejeebers out of us. What would I do? What could I do if I really acknowledged the power that I had? Well, let's tap on that. Let's clear that fear. What am I afraid would happen? I have some videos on that. One of them is called "Reclaim Your Power." So please go look at my YouTube channel, um, or go to my website and find the free 5-day programs I have about success beyond belief or tapping into your best self, and and just looking at it and going, yes, the extent to which I'm not being powerful, the extent to which I'm not sharing my gifts, is the extent to which I'm resisting it. Why? Why would I resist that? Oh, let's see. Gee, I'm afraid of showing up. I'm afraid that people will be critical. I'm afraid people will make fun of me.
mm-hmm,
Um, they'll say, "Oh, you're being ridiculous," and I don't want that. So I
mm-hmm.
will deprive the world of my gifts to protect me from the feelings that I'll have if someone says I'm ridiculous. Or I can tap through and go, "Well, they're being ridiculous. If someone doesn't like what I have to offer, that's fine. There's an audience out there." I often say, there are people who don't like Taylor Swift's music. And you know what? She's doing just fine. She can fill stadiums around the world with people who love her music.
Mm.
So even though there are people go, ugh, so the same for all of us with our gifts and talents. There is an audience out there. We're never given a gift without also being given an audience. And there's someone waiting to appreciate that gift. We do spread love and light. We do make the world a better place when we allow ourselves to do that. And if people don't care for our gifts, that's fine. They can go listen to somebody else's music or whatever it is that we share. But we are raising the vibration of the planet when we allow ourselves to do what we love and let other people be inspired by that.
Mm. Beautiful. And then two last questions. Well, I love that you bring such lightness and playfulness into that deep emotional healing. So I'm curious about the role, like what role has humor played in your sessions? Because I know frequently, well, in the past, I felt judged for incorporating joy and magic into my sessions, especially the mediumship ones.
Yeah.
But I really believe, especially after I lost my mom nearly 3 years ago, I realized that you can grieve the loss of your loved ones, but the fact that they're by our side and they bring those childhood memories, that they let us know that they're around, it brings that component of joy, and our loved ones want us to be happy and they want us to laugh.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. I was just having a conversation with a friend about this moments ago. I lost my dad a few weeks ago,
I'm sorry.
and thank you. And we were talking about the humor that comes up sometimes, and our loved ones, we can't feel bad enough to make it better for them. They're beyond all that. I truly believe wherever they are, they want the best for us. Like, oh, please enjoy life to the fullest for my sake.
Mm-hmm.
And laugh. And they say laughter is the best medicine. To me, it's the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. When we're dealing with some heavy stuff, to be able to have some lightness about that makes
Mm.
it so much easier to go there. If it's just heavy, 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 it's like, I don't want to go there and I'm not going to do the work. I'm going to
Mm.
avoid it if it's painful. But if I can bring some fun into it, it's like my exercise. I use a VR headset and I play games. I gamify my exercise. So it's like, oh, great.
Mm.
There's a lightness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to do that when especially when we're doing something that we might resist, when we're talking about heavy subjects, we're talking about resistance to our goals. If it's heavy, then we're just not going to go there. And it's one more way that we protect ourselves. But yeah, that lightness, it's like, okay, I can do this. Now I can go where I
Mm.
need to go because it's at least somewhat enjoyable.
Mm. Thank you. And finally, what's the final message that you would like to leave the viewers and listeners with?
Thank you, Marta. Probably the most important thing is encouraging folks to love yourself, to
Mm.
recognize that you are worthy and deserving of love. You are a magnificent child of the universe, worthy and deserving of love and respect, worthy and deserving of the best this world has to offer. And as you tap away the reasons why you might not love yourself, oh, I
Mm.
can't love myself because of this, that, or the other thing, even though I have these reasons for not loving myself. Clear that stuff away and recognize that you are worthy of love. And anything that you've done in the past that you say, well, that's why I'm not worthy. No, that doesn't make you unworthy. You did that because you were doubting you were worthy. Because we have so many
Mm.
messages about not being worthy, when the truth is we are absolutely worthy and deserving of love. And when we recognize that about ourselves, we take better care of ourselves and we make the world a better place. And we can teach other people to do the same. And so you might be looking at someone and going, well, I hate what they're doing. Well, it's probably because they're doing that because they don't realize how lovable they are. Let me help them. Let me show them the way and show them how to love themselves. And yeah, cliche as it sounds, we spread love and light. So it starts as an inside job. So please allow yourself to love yourself more.
Thank you. And finally, I've already said that, but finally, how can people work with you and where they can find you? And I'm going to add all of the links to the description of this podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, Marta. Yeah, the easiest way is at my website, tapwithbrad.com. And as I said, there's a free 5-day program there on success beyond belief. And there's also, I'm on many of the social media platforms as Tap with Brad, particularly YouTube, where I have well over 1,000 videos on all kinds of different subjects.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I truly appreciate you. I had like so much fun. It was insightful, grounded. You're a beautiful soul. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Marta. Thank you for what you're doing, the ways that you're sharing your gifts and talents. And thank you very much for this opportunity to share this work with folks. And thank you to everyone who's willing to give this a try and see where it might take you.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you to all of the viewers and listeners. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.